Hi, everybody. Welcome back to How We Heal with Dr. Maria. Thank you so much for being patient with me. I am so glad to have this next episode coming up with my friend Louise Milleman, and we are going to talk about homesteading today, homeschool. The main focus of the show is about water. We are going to get into talking about molecular hydrogen and how good that can be for your body and how to create it. So with that, I want to say hi, Louise.
Hi.
I think you're on mute, girlfriend.
Oh, my back. Okay. Hi.
There you go. I can hear you now.
Okay.
What is up, girl?
Oh, not much. Just, living the homestead life.
I love it. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So I'm actually out here on 26 acres. We are in North Georgia. We're doing the whole homesteading life, but we're also 100% fully off the grid. So where we bought raw land when we came out here, there was literally nothing out here but land and a couple of cows. And so we actually are turning this raw land into a complete off-grid homestead. And so right now we've got our cows, we've got our chickens, we've got our pigs. We're living in our camper currently while we build. So we're building a structure. We're building a castle, actually, which kind of sounds ridiculous sometimes when I say it out loud. But it's so fun. It's so fun. So we're building a castle, and there's 2 grain silos that are going to be the turrets of the castle, and the whole entire back end hallway and all of that is going to be made of hempcrete. And so we're building our home with hemp as hemp herds as the hempcrete, I guess, is like hemp herds is like the main part of the hempcrete that we're going to be building with. And so we have a huge project out here. And in the meantime, we're just trying to grow as much food as we possibly can, become as self-sufficient as we possibly can. And that's really what it is all about for us, is just really, really looking for that self-sufficiency. And like our PMA or our ministry out here is called Forgotten Ways Ministry, because we really believe that it's so important for us to take a step back into the forgotten ways of the past. And we
Mhm.
think that's the most important thing we can do in order to help protect the future. So that's really the goal that we have here, is just like not only ourselves, like me and my husband, learning some of these forgotten skills from our past, but also helping our children learn them so that they don't have to scramble around in their mid-30s trying to figure out how to do some of the things that we're now trying to figure out how to do. So we're trying to raise our kids just to have some of those skills that they need in order to be able to live off the land.
I love that. I don't want to go off topic too much, but I know there will be people watching the show that might be looking at the PMA a little bit. And so I thought maybe you could just give a little summary of that, because it's possible that someone like me that, uh, as a doctor, or possibly as someone that might create a membership for people. Um, or, I mean, I can think of so many different other groups that might want to, if you could just explain the PMA a little bit and maybe the process just a hair, and then we'll move on, because I think people will be like, what was that? What did she create? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that a PMA could be for anybody, right? And I think that for
Mm.
us out here, we're technically considered a ministry. So we are a 508c1A. And that's what we're classified as. And we have it's basically just taking everything from the public domain and moving it to the private domain. So we have a little bit more protection, for anything that we want to do out here. We don't, anybody that wants to do any sort of business with us, we're all under private contracts. Everything is like contracted, right? Everything is going to be donations to our ministry. So some of the
Mhm.
things that we're going to offer out here, for example, are going to be, typically you can go to a farm or a ranch or something, you can go buy pork, or you can even buy the whole or buy the half of a cow or whatever, people buy the beef, people do different types of things. Our service is going to be more about like, you're going to come out here, you can take the whole entire pig home with you, all the pork, but you're going to have the experience of the butcher yourself. You're going to do the harvesting, you're going to dress the animal, you're going to do everything that you need, you're going to cut it up, you're going to butcher it yourself, and you're going to package it yourself, and you're going to take it home. So it's going to be like an experience, right? We have like a price labeled for what that will cost, but when the time comes for someone to actually pay for it, it's not like they're paying for that, they're actually donating it to the ministry instead of having like so it's all just kind of about changing the lingo around what it is that we're doing, right? There's contracts that everyone will sign because they will become a member of our ministry before they're able to come out and participate in some of the activities that we have out here. So any type of business could do something like this for, doctors, anyone that practicing health. Oftentimes we'll look into private membership associations, anyone who's homeschooling. Lots of times there's like just a bigger umbrella for a private educational association or what, and so the process that we went through, because we became a ministry, which I think is really, really important of what we're doing, we actually worked with somebody who was able to create the bylaws that we have in our paperwork that we have. We are unincorporated, so we don't have to file with the government or anything like that, but we do want to make sure that we have proper paperwork stating the fact that we're a ministry. We have all of our deep rooted spiritual beliefs. Doesn't necessarily have to be any certain belief. You don't have to be a Christian. You don't have to be you don't have to believe in, it doesn't matter what you believe in. As long as you have some sort of deep rooted spiritual belief, then you can be a ministry. That's a part of the best thing about being in the United States of America, is that you get to have that freedom of whatever it is that you believe in, but you have to have it written in such a way that shows that you are a ministry. So if you do have any issues ever, that you would be able to fall back on the fact that, like, no, I'm properly set up as a ministry. So we actually worked with somebody to create that for us. And the women, because it was 2 women that did it, that we worked with, they're called Serve by Design. And I think their website is squarespace.servebydesign.com. I want to look on my phone just to make sure I'm not saying that wrong. But their names are Brooke and Jess.
Yeah, either way, I can definitely get the link from you later and put it in the description.
Okay. Yeah. That'll be good. Yeah.
Because I think all of this is very important, no matter what. This is definitely what I want to talk about on this show, is different ways that people are living their life. I want them to be able to share it like you. I want people to see that things are possible. If they have an idea in their head, I want them to go, oh my gosh, Louise did it, I could do it too. Or she's raising her kids the way I want to. I want to follow her framework, or be able to reach out and talk to her, or watch her on her Instagram channel and just see it. And I think people, when they ultimately get their power back by designing their life the way they want to, right? And obviously we are human beings. We work with other people. We need other people's help. We need their expertise. We need their wheelhouse. I have a certain wheelhouse. You have a certain wheelhouse, things that kind of mesh with your personality or resonate with you. And so I want people to see this and go from there. So you and I initially met when I wanted to do some thermography in my office, and we still have to do more eventually, but that's how you and I met, on a secret little underground Crunchy Mamas group, which I love those groups, because we definitely get to share lots of things and experiences, down to someone just texted me earlier today and said, oh, I know Louise, she shared with me this recipe, blah, blah, blah. I loved it, so down to a recipe that is very clean and could help you get through a healthy moment. Today we are going to talk about water. Were you going to say something, Louise?
No.
Okay. So we're going to eventually get to water, because I know that is sort of like your passion and one of your missions in life. And I think today I think definitely what we should talk about is I had posted something on Instagram earlier this week. It might have even been yesterday. Hold on one sec. And we were talking about filtration systems. I posted something about how the government finally started talking about the issues with fluoride. And it took litigation, it took a FOIA, action to get that information out. I thought we could play that for just a second and then get right in there, because he does talk about different types of filtration systems. And I want you to help me go over with my audience the difference between filtrations and ionization and stuff like that. Okay, here we go.
government finally released a report
Can you
it
hear
had
it?
suppressed since May of 22 on the effects of fluoride on our kids. It took a lawsuit to get the results of this 6-month review of dozens and dozens of studies, which was funded by the taxpayers. Here's a conclusion I pulled right off page 467 of the report. The consistency of the data supports an inverse association between fluoride exposure and children's IQ. That means as fluoride goes up from drinking water, toothpaste, dental cleanings, whatever, IQ goes down in the developing brains of our kids. Now, who would want to block access to that information from the public? Oh, probably dentists. There are arguments both ways on fluoride and tooth decay, but nobody expected neurological damage. And withholding information is never, ever the answer to anything. Shame on those who'd even consider it. I think it's finally time to stop putting fluoride in our drinking water. Dentists be damned. People can choose to supplement it with tablets if they want, but they can't really choose not to drink city water, right? Something like 98% of the Western world doesn't drink fluoridated water, and there's no outcry that their kids' teeth are rotting out of their mouths. You can filter fluoride out of your drinking water with a reverse osmosis system, a distillation system, or an ion exchange type of filtration. Let's help our kids keep their smarts. This is going to make you mad.
Okay, so wow, right? I've known that fluoride is a neurotoxin for years. I can scream it at the top of my lungs to family, friends, patients, about using fluoride in the toothpaste and whatnot. But sometimes it takes something like this to highlight and to expose, to show, the truth of the situation. And he was sort of like down on dentists, but I don't really think that is the main issue. Yes, they're pushing something, but if we know more, we're going to do better, right? So we are going to be able to have the option to say no, freaking no. And then at that point, it becomes our responsibility to heal our body from these neurotoxins. As you heard him say, the IQ goes down in children, and well, their brains are developing so fast, they're like sponges from 0 to 6. And so it's really important that they get proper neuro food in their brains. And so obviously I don't want to be a part of that, so I'm going to talk about it and expose it. Now, I don't want to put down dentists. Hopefully once they know more, they do better, but definitely the rulers of this is the words that start getting my show pulled off, right? So you guys, backup is always on Rumble, just letting you know, but this is when the rulers start, taking over and putting this kind of stuff in our water, because they want to make sure that it gets in there. We know that it's a sedation type of chemical, like, calm you down, make you not care about anything, but also whenever we have neurotoxins in our brain, we also create other situations, disease states that the rulers want to keep us at, right? Always sick. We're not talking about that here. We want to heal and we want to get better. And I have hope for people. I have hope for the entire situation to be able to get healed. So where do you want to go from there? Because I know you wanted to talk about your Kangen water system and the difference of filtration and ionization.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is perfect because I think fluoride, it's one of those things where it's criminal. It's criminal for them to take a certain amount of neurotoxin and completely dump it into the supplies of water that every single person in the United States of America is now drinking, and other countries as well. It blows my mind. There are some countries out there that are like, no, thank you. Like, they know better. But then there are other countries, even though they know better, like, they're still doing it. And they're just now, like the UK, like within the last year, just implemented some, they're going to start putting fluoride all over the entire country, where before they only had it in certain areas. And it's like, what? Like, the more that we know about this, the more that we know how harmful it is, you're still going to give it to your like, what? It's insane. And I think one of the biggest problems with fluoride being in the drinking water is not only the fact that they're putting it in whatever quantities they want. So a kid that's like 20 to 50 pounds is getting the same dose as an adult that's a couple 100 pounds. Like, doesn't make any sense. Like, it makes zero sense from anything else that you would be, you would be doing everything per weight or per, whatever for per person if you were really using it because you wanted to like give it to them for medicinal reasons or to strengthen, whatever reasons they think that they're doing it for. But fluoride is really hard to get out of water. And that's one of the biggest things, is because fluoride actually works more like a mineral in water than it does like a contaminant. So, like you heard him say, reverse osmosis is a really great way to get fluoride out. Distillation is another way that you can get fluoride out. But when you do both of those things, you're also removing a lot of the beneficial, like you're also removing all of the good minerals in the water. Yeah. So now
I always say that, like, sorry, I'm going to interrupt just for a second, because my patients will come in with their cute little Crystal Geyser bottled water, and great, I'm happy they're drinking water, but I'm like, okay, the process that it took to clean that water is literally taking bad stuff out, hopefully, but it's taking all the good stuff out. So you're literally just drinking wet.
Yeah.
You're just drinking wet. So there's nothing in there. So when people come in for help, I want to make sure they're not cramping easy, or they're not getting spasms, or, their skeletal muscle system can start functioning better. Obviously you guys know I'm a chiropractor, so I want them to be helped by that. But when we take everything out, it affects the whole body, right? Is what you were talking about.
Yeah. I mean, like demineralized water. I mean, it's one of those things where, your body, like, it's like your water. If you think about in nature, how water accumulates, and you'll hear some people say, oh, I go to the spring and I get my water. It's naturally alkaline water. And the reason that a lot of times that happens is because water is taking as it runs over things, like it's giving and it's taking, right? But as it runs over rocks through a creek or, whatever, like it's actually pulling and it's taking minerals out from that. And that's where the minerals end up in the water, right? Well, the same thing can happen over time in our bodies. If we're continuously drinking water that's devoid, is it devoid or void? Void of minerals, where it's demineralized, that's what I meant to say. Then actually over long periods of time, I mean, I tell people that I talk to all the time, like some people will come to me and they're like, oh, I've been drinking reverse osmosis, and I'm like, it's okay. Like, don't freak out. Like, don't freak out if that's something that you've been doing over a period of time, but like, just know that it can cause some pretty detrimental effects, like later on in life. I actually know somebody that one of the guys that I work really closely with, who's like our science guy, who does a lot of like webinars and stuff with me. He was first introduced to the like harmful effects of a reverse osmosis when he went to go see a biological dentist in Auburn, California. And his kids, don't really get fed sugar. They have a pretty clean diet for the most part. They're kids, but like for the most part, like they don't eat unhealthily. Like there's no reason that their kids should have been experiencing these huge issues they were having, like gum issues, cavities like crazy. They just kept getting reoccurring cavities. Talking about dentists, it's like when I'm going to the dentist, but they were seeing a holistic dentist who wasn't really doing much to help them. And they were finally recommended to see a biological dentist. And when they went in, one of the first questions she asked is, what kind of water do you drink? And he said, oh, I have a great, reverse osmosis system. And she was like, get it out. Take it out of your house now. And so that was one of the first things where he was like, whoa, like, he's like, I thought I was doing the best thing I could possibly do by giving her reverse osmosis water. Like, we know that RO water cleans the water. Like, that's great because we want to have clean water. That's step one, but you can't have clean water and take everything out of the water, because now at this point, like we said, it's demineralized and it's unhealthy at that point for your body. The same thing happens with distillation. I mean, it's a very similar thing. It's like, it's just dead water. Like you're drinking water, but it's completely dead. So some people's, they say, okay, great. Well, I'll still reverse osmosis my water, and then I'll just add minerals back in. And then, and that's like, I guess, better than not adding minerals back in. But at the same time, it's kind of like you're taking something out that was already naturally there, and then you're synthetically adding it back in. So, so for me, I'm always like, if you don't have to remove the naturally occurring minerals that are already there to begin with, then like, why even remove them, right? And so
like bleaching bread flour and adding back in the riboflavin or whatever they do.
Like, what? Like, why? Don't understand.
Well, there is a reason. There are reasons, and we don't need to get into that, but it's about control. So
yeah,
anyway.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So it's one of those things where, yeah, fluoride is just really hard to get out of water. If you're not putting it through reverse osmosis, or if you're not distilling your water, it's really hard to get out because of the fact that it acts more like a mineral in water than it does a contaminant. So there's a couple ways that you can get it out. Activated alumina is a really good way that you can use. Activated alumina is a porous material. And what it does is it acts more like it almost acts like a magnet. So in the filtration system, it's like if your activated alumina is right here and the fluoride is running over the water, it sucks to it, right? And it holds on to that fluoride and it doesn't let it go, and it won't actually release that fluoride. But the problem with activated alumina is that it just doesn't last very long, right? Because the more fluoride it sucks to it as like a magnet, the less effective it's going to become over time. So, that's actually what I use in my water system before I go through my Kangen. I actually have an activated alumina pre-filter. It's not just activated alumina. It also has KDF 85 media, which is also removing heavy metals. And then it also has like a carbon block for pesticides, herbicides, whatever residual medications and stuff like that that's in our water. But the first step is the activated alumina. So it's taking out fluoride. I have to replace this filter like every 3 to 4 months. And sometimes if I'm going through a lot of water, I might even replace it in like 2 months or something like that. Like the good thing is it's not expensive, because it's activated alumina. It's a porous material. It's not an expensive material. So you don't have to spend a lot of money on it, but you do have to make sure that you're changing it, because if you don't change it and you go 6 months or so without changing it, you're getting less and less fluoride out of the water the longer that it goes between the time that you're actually changing that filtration. The other material is bone char. I think some people use bone char, and that's one of the things that will also remove fluoride out. But again, it's just not as effective. It doesn't last as long. You have to replace these things often. So you have to be really, just on it, right? You have to be on it. And it's so annoying. But as a consumer, like we all have to be on it regardless. Like we have to be aware of everything that we're doing. If we're not, we'll fall into their trap, and that's what they want.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and I'm telling my patients all the time, we have to be accountable for our own health. We have to be, if anything, we could help each other, and be each other's accountability partners, but we've got to be, like you said, right on top of it. There's reasons why we have to do this. And, I see the person coming into my office that's not doing so well, and these are some of the reasons that we need the water clean. So keep going with the bone char. But I know that there's a reason that we needed to go into ionization, right? So first we filter the water. Okay. Always. Yeah. I don't care what system you use, but first we need to filter it. And those are some of the ways that we can do it, because not only, fluoride, but we're talking about hormones, people that take hormones, that doesn't come out of the water. It's harder to come out of the water, right? From the city system. It's showing up in the tests, as well as just regular OTCs, ibuprofen and all that other stuff. That is harder to come out as well. So we need to get that out as well as other stuff. So
yeah, I 100% agree. I think the first step is filtration, 100% for sure, because you want to make sure that you have clean water. And if you don't have clean water and then you run it through an ionizer, then you're drinking ionized water, but it's still, like there's still some contaminants. Now, fluoride actually has been shown through ionizers, through actually a Kangen system itself, to actually remove through the acidic component. So the way that ionizers work is there's negatively charged and positively charged plates. And at the cathode, which is a negatively charged plate, the water, like the alkaline minerals, are going to be attracted to the cathode. So your calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, like some of these really good minerals that we want to have in our water, become attracted to the cathode. Where at the anode, which is a positively charged plate, some of the acidic components get attracted to that. So there's two different hoses. One's the top hose, that's where your alkali compounds are coming out in your reduced water, which is with electrons being donated to it. And then the acidic water at the bottom hose, oftentimes a good percentage of the fluoride can actually be removed just from the ionization itself, going out the acidic hose. So it's not necessarily being filtered, but if you have a great activated alumina filter on the front end of it, right, so you're getting rid of a lot of the fluoride coming in, maybe not 100% of it, but a good percentage of it. And then you have this ionization process where it's hopefully getting most of it or the rest of it out through the acidic hose. And then the rest of the water that you're able to collect is coming out the top hose where it's ionized. It's got electrons being donated to it. It's created molecular hydrogen, which is so beneficial to our bodies. And I think the molecular hydrogen is a big aspect of that. And I think that's really when we talk about healing our bodies. I mean, like molecular hydrogen is huge. And the fact that, you know, fluoride is one issue of our water. Like we have so many more, like Dr. Maria was saying. I mean, there's all these residual pharmaceuticals, there's all these other contaminants, there's all this other, I mean, everything in our world is like so contaminated and polluted. It's like disgusting. Like, even though in my business, like like my business is water, right? Like I'm a Kangen water distributor, like that's what I do. But I still wish that I wish every single person in the world had access to free, living, structured, reduced hydrogen rich water. Like that would be like the ideal goal. And I wouldn't have a business anymore and I wouldn't care, because I would feel like we lived in a world where everybody had access to like just things that would make them healthy without having to like, you know, pay for extra, you know, like just like even the food that we eat, like we have to pay extra food for organic food. We have to pay extra for grass fed. It's like, why do we have to pay more for food that's raised naturally? Like this makes zero sense. Why do we have to pay more for good, healthy water? It's just like, that's the way that the world is set up right now. Like even if you go to natural springs to collect water, it's like sometimes even that is contaminated, because it's like they're either treating that water or there's just been so much pollution and just so much garbage out there that it's just like, right? Like it's so crazy. But that's just the world that we live in now. And as consumers, we just have to be aware and we just have to know what we're doing. And so I think that, like you said, step one is filtration, get that water nice and clean. And then what I love to do is I love to run it through an ionizer, because at that cathode of the negatively charged plate, electrons donate the electrons to the H2O molecule. So as you have water that runs over this, you get electrons being donated. So when you have an H2O molecule and an electron gets donated to that molecule, what ends up happening is one of the hydrogen molecules pops off of the H2O molecule.
Yeah, that's what we want. We want hydrogens. Yes.
Yes. And it's neutrally charged at this point, right? So when two water molecules have this exact same thing happen, the hydrogen pops off. So you're almost like releasing the hydrogen from this water, right? So like water is H2O, like we know that. So if a hydrogen gets popped off, two neutrally charged hydrogens get popped off of two different water molecules, what you end up having is two H's that combine together and it creates H2, which is diatomic hydrogen molecule or diatomic molecular hydrogen. And this is a super strong, very effective, very potent and selective antioxidant within our body. And it's so important to say that it's selective, because it's like it scavenges free radicals, which are what causes harm to our body, which causes oxidative stress. It causes inflammation, which we know our bodies need to have some degree of inflammation. But when it becomes excessive and chronic is when it becomes a huge problem. So we have to be able to eliminate some of that, so that when we have too many free radicals, that's when we get oxidative stress, which can lead to dis-ease in the body and all kinds of stuff. H2 is able to go after the harmful free radicals that are within our body, like hydroxyl radical, which is one of the most harmful ones and causes some of the most damage in our bodies. And it's able to take this super harmful radical or reactive oxygen species, or ROS, and it's able to turn it into water, which is then able to be eliminated and flushed out of our system as when we eliminate, pee, sweat, whatever. And so that's incredible, right? So it's like one of these things. And molecular hydrogen is the smallest element, and like molecular hydrogen is the smallest antioxidant like known to man. So if you think about all the other antioxidants out there, we've got really like common antioxidants that lots of people know. CoQ10 is a big one, super good. Lots of people take it as a supplement. It's amazing for our bodies. The molecular weight of CoQ10 is 863. It's very large, right? The molecular weight of vitamin C is 176. The molecular weight of molecular hydrogen is 2 Daltons, or 2 atomic mass units. It is so tiny, you guys. It literally can get into every cell, every tissue, every organ. It can even cross the blood-brain barrier, which gives it, essentially is giving it unrestricted access to the central nervous system, which is able to go in. And that's why we have so many studies showing the benefits of molecular hydrogen through neurodegenerative issues and all kinds of things that like, it's so beneficial. It's why we see so many people such a resurgence in their health when they start drinking water that's loaded with things with molecular hydrogen, which is what our water does.
The MS people, the ALS people, but also just to give a little testimonial about the size of the molecule, when my patients that come in that have Crohn's or like diverticulitis, tummy, really bad GI kind of issues, they can't drink regular water. They're like, it hurts their stomach. So I'm like, okay, you got to go get, I don't know if I'm saying it right. Hydrogenated water or ionized water. Basically, it's spun through the system that breaks it down to the smallest, the smaller molecule. And they can finally drink water when they use this type of water.
That's awesome.
And it's amazing because it's going to help them heal not only their issue, but whatever else is going on in the body. Ultimately, we want homeostasis. And if you don't know what oxidative stress looks like, I mean, just think about it. In the body, you'll see stuff like fatigue, memory loss, cloudy, foggy thinking. Not being able to recover from your workouts is something that might seem, low on the totem pole, but really it's aging process. Decreased eyesight, wrinkles, gray hair, but the bigger ones, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, diabetes, cardiovascular issues, and obviously inflammation. So if we can be helped, but if we can help people with those things by educating them on the type of water they drink, oh my gosh, all of a sudden, we have a world that's healing, more on the healing journey, and hopefully becoming healed from these issues.
Right. Yeah. It's like our bodies are designed to do that. Our bodies are designed to heal themselves. Like all we have to do is make sure that our bodies have the proper tools that they need. And that's one of the things, is making sure, like, before we had such a toxic world, I believe that, like, just through consumption of antioxidants through your foods that you're eating and your berries and, like some of the other things that you can eat that can provide antioxidants, we used to be able to keep a pretty good balance between the free radicals and the antioxidants, because that's what's you have to have the antioxidants to scavenge the free radicals. But as our world becomes more and more toxic, it's like it's outweighing. It's like now we have too many free radicals and we need more help. It's like, how can we help get after those free radicals? And that's where it's so beneficial to have things like molecular hydrogen. Like, who knew, over the last 10 to 20 years has really kind of just became this big new thing in the scientific world. Like, they still don't even fully completely understand it yet, because it's still more and more stuff is coming out all the time about molecular hydrogen, and they're like blown away about the fact that, like, it's so small and how it can get to so many different places in the body and all the benefits that it has. And like the therapeutic effects is just like, if you look at the studies, you're just like 100% completely blown away. And the fact that we can consume it in our water on a daily basis, like, that's amazing, right? That's amazing, which is why I'm always screaming from the rooftops. I'm like, yes, woo, we need clean water. But hey, don't forget to get that, a water ionizer is a really great way to get it. You can also get it through, I mean, it's a gas. So there are ways that people will actually inhale molecular hydrogen. But I don't exactly know, like, you probably have to go somewhere to get some sort of treatment like that. Whereas when you have the molecular hydrogen in your home, like through a water ionizer, you have access to it like pretty much all day long, where you can and you can't really like overdo it. Like, it's been shown before, like through the consumption of hydrogen water, you can't really overdo it. Inhaling the gas, you can overdo it if you do too much, but through water, it's like you'd have to have like so much that it would be like really hard to actually overdo it. So it's nice to know that you have tools where you can literally just be like creating this at your own kitchen sink. Filter the water first, make sure it's nice and clean, and then run it through an ionizer, and you're literally creating molecular hydrogen like that you can consume all day long, that can be giving your body what it needs so that your body can do what it's meant to do, which is heal itself from all the things that, we're being bombarded with every single day.
Yeah, because there's some things that we got to control what we can control, the stuff that's floating around up in the, sky and, raining down on us, and getting into our soil. Sometimes that's going to be a little bit hard. Going back to what you said about the breathing thing, I think I did see Ben Green had something that, he talked about, I forget, the Novi or whatever like that, whatever. But I really love the idea of having water in my house that we have access to. It's definitely something that you put on your countertop. I like the idea of it creating that acidic water, because there's some use to that as well, right?
Yeah, so our systems are pH controlled, so you can have all kinds of different selections. The 2.5, you're actually creating HOCl, which is hypochlorous acid, completely can disinfect. And I love it on the homestead because it has so many uses in the garden. You can use it as pest control. Some of the higher pHs that we have, we can go all the way up to 11.5, which is really great for germinating seeds and things like that. But it's also a degreaser, so you can use it for what many people like to use it for is to like soak their veggies that they buy from the store, because even organic vegetables still have pesticides and herbicides. They might be approved through the organic label, but the organic label is somewhat of kind of a joke, right? Talk to any local farmer and they'll tell you that, it's like, I'd much rather buy from a local farmer's market that's not certified, because the certification is a joke, right? But anyways, even if you buy organic from the store, you still want to make sure that you're cleaning that off. And like pesticides and herbicides are oil-based. They're oil-based because they don't want, like whenever the rain would come down, it would just wash off all of the pesticides if it wasn't oil-based. But because water and oil don't mix, when they made it oil-based, it was no longer able to just get rinsed off in the rain whenever it rained down. But that also means that if you're using your regular tap water to wash your veggies, you're not getting that stuff off. So that's why people have to go and buy veggie produce washers. Sometimes they use vinegar. Sometimes they use some sort of a spray they buy. You can actually use our 11.5 pH because it's an emulsifier. So it actually does mix with oil and it takes the pesticides and herbicides off of our fruits and vegetables. So it's one of the most popular ways to use the higher pH water. You also can use it as like a stain remover. You can replace your laundry detergent with it, because it cuts, grime and grease and dirt and stains and all kinds of stuff, which is pretty cool. So there's many uses for it other than just the molecular hydrogen or the hydrogen rich water. But I just get so excited about the hydrogen rich water because I have such a good experience drinking the water, where I used to have low energy. I had vertigo issues. I would get dizzy spells. I had all kinds of stuff that was going on because I was severely chronically dehydrated. And like Dr. Maria was saying, like some people actually can't necessarily drink water that has like bigger like clusters and that's like dead water. Water in nature is not meant to be stagnant. It's not meant to sit still, you guys. It's not meant, like whether you get it from a plastic water bottle. Yeah, it moves, right? And it goes, if it's coming down a river, if it's coming down a mountain, if it's going like this, like whatever way, it's like, it's constantly in motion. And whether we put it up in a bottle, plastic bottle, which who knows how long it takes to get to the shelf, probably years by the time it's actually bottled, leaching all kinds of stuff into the water, which is just like, not only like an environmental disaster to drink plastic bottle. And I'm not judging anyone who drinks plastic bottled water. So don't get me wrong. Like, we always just, like Dr. Maria said, know better, do better, whatever. I'm just putting it out there. But the other thing is, even in like a municipal holding tank, as it gets, it waits to get pumped through the pipes underground and stuff, it's still just sitting in this big, like it's not meant to do that. It's meant to move and flow. And so when you get this water and you actually run it through an ionizer, it's able to kind of bring that water back to life, where it didn't have a charge anymore. It lost all of its charge. It's just completely dead. In nature, your water has a negative charge. It's actually charged by the earth. It's charged by the movement. It's structured in such a way because it's in motion. So when you run it through like a system like ours, and there's other ways you can structure water too, but it actually brings that back to life. It actually gives it a charge again. And when it has a charge, the negative charge of the water, the aquaporin of your cell can absorb that water so much more efficiently. The aquaporin of your cell is this tiny little part of your cell. That's where the water molecule can accept, or the cell can accept the water molecule. And when it's negatively charged, it has a much easier way of accepting that molecule. So people can actually drink the water and not feel bloated, not feel gross, not feel like it sloshes in their stomach. I used to, like, if I was ever super thirsty after a workout or something and come home and I would just like chug an entire glass of water because I was like dying of thirst, I would literally feel and like hear the water moving in my stomach. And then I would like go pee and the water was like all completely clear. And like lots of people will say, oh, if your pee is clear, then that means that you're super hydrated, which can be an indication of that, but not always, because sometimes it's literally just the water that you just put in and it just came right out. It didn't go into your cells. It didn't absorb into your cells. It just went right through you. So you can use the color of your urine to see, to kind of determine your hydration level, but it's not a 100%. Just because it's clear doesn't mean that you're not dehydrated.
No.
But
don't you think it's funny? Like, I thought even when I was like in high school, I'm way older than you, but it was like, even now, I think it's super interesting how drinking a ton of water is like so like popular. Like people will literally come into my office and that's one of my questions that I ask them is, okay, let's talk about your hydration. What's going on? You know, oh, don't worry about me, Dr. Maria. I'm fine. I drink about a gallon of water a day. Huh? You know, and I completely understand someone that's out in the elements, you know, they work fire, they work the fire lines, maybe they're PG&E, maybe they, whatever, you know, construction and all that. And they're more stimulated to drink water because they're, you know, thirsty and sweating. When we start talking about drinking a ton of water like that, what else is it doing? I believe that it's sort of leaching, especially if it's not live water, you know, it's pulling, you know, some of the good stuff as well. So I always thought it was super weird that all of a sudden in the last 20 years, maybe 30, that we're all carrying around water jugs. We're all, you know what I mean? Like what was it? Evian or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's popular now.
Yep.
And I just thought it was weird that people are drinking gallons of water a day. Well, maybe it's because your body is looking for the good stuff and it's keep trying to find it and it can't. And I'm thinking that when you drink live, structured, living ionized water, your body's able to find it and you may not need that much. And think about your bladder and your kidneys, it all has to kind of process through and work to do all this. So do you think that was, I don't know, did you notice that or is it just me?
Yeah, no, I think the same thing. I mean, I think I know I talk to people all the time that will be like, I drink a gallon of water a day and I still feel dehydrated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not normal. Like
Mm-mm.
if anybody's drinking a gallon of water a day and you're still like and you still feel dehydrated and you still feel thirsty, like that's not normal. I mean, yeah, it's like if you're, you know, sometimes when I'm working in the garden all day long and I'm sweating my butt off and I've been extra physical, like, yeah, I'll drink more water than normal because that's what you do. You're
Yeah.
eliminating more, you're bringing more back in. But when you drink good water that your cells are absorbing, your cells will feel it. I mean, I tell people all the time, I'll go and do like a demo, I'll do a booth, I'll set up an event. I'll have people that just drink water for the whole weekend that they spend with me. And they're like, my cells are singing. I feel so good. I haven't even really had to pee that much. I haven't even had to drink that much. I feel great. My energy, you know, like their energy levels out the roof. And I'm like, that's what it feels like to be hydrated. Like most people, I think, in this world don't actually know what it feels like to be fully hydrated. And then whenever they get that, because I never did until I started drinking living water. When I started drinking Kangen water, was like, this is what it's supposed to feel like. Like I'm supposed to feel this good. I was like, and then once you feel that way, you like never want to go back to ever feeling dehydrated again. But I used to drink water. I used to drink a lot of water and I still had so many issues. And like at the end of the day, what I realized, I shouldn't say at the end of the day, at the end of years of chronic issues, ended up discovering that I was just severely chronically dehydrated, despite the fact that I drank water and I drank quite a bit of it. So I don't think it's necessarily about just drinking water. It's about what kind of water are you giving your body?
Yeah.
And just like we can talk about foods, it's not necessarily about what you eat, it's about what you absorb. You know, what does your body actually take in? The same thing can be said of water. The fact that our body is made up of 70% of water or so, you know, like your every cell, every tissue, every organ in your body, like it needs water to survive. But if you're not giving it the water that it needs, then it could literally just be going through you. And then you would feel like you need to drink more water and you could drink a gallon of water a day and still feel like it's not enough. And it's if you have good water that your body is absorbing, you don't need that much water. You know, you shouldn't really need that much water.
No,
Unless
and yeah, I believe oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying unless, you know, like you said, you're super physical, maybe you're a CrossFitter, you're you know, working on the fires or like that's different, you know, but for most normal people, like you shouldn't have to drink that much water.
Yeah, and I think your bladder starts getting used to the good water. And, you know, people, but because that's the other thing too, is like, if I'm starting to talk about drinking a little bit more water, well, people don't want to because either the taste or because then they have to go to the restroom. And I get that for people that are, you know, my nurses, my teachers, and, you know, my people that are stuck at a whatever phone or whatever, they can't get up. But let's really quick before we kind of start tying everything up and wrapping up. I want to talk about testimonials because you started kind of getting into it just a little bit when you set up your booth, but who have you helped? Tell us a great story. I want people to kind of like be able to connect and say, gosh, I really need to think about this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've helped hundreds of people at this point get access to this water. And it's so incredible because every single person, every single body is going to respond differently to every single thing that it's given. Right. So the first thing before we go into testimonials, it's just a good idea to say that, just because one person had this experience doesn't necessarily mean that every single person's going to have that. But I mean, my own testimony is a really great one because like I said, I had blood sugar issues so bad. I wouldn't even be able to drive myself to the chiropractor sometimes. Like I would seriously, because for me to be driving and turn my head to switch gears, by the time I turned back around, I would be so dizzy that like it was not a safe situation to be in. So like I would have to have someone drive me to the chiropractor whenever my vertigo would get so bad. But my blood sugar was really interesting because it would just drop like suddenly out of nowhere. It would just be like, I would feel starving and I would have to shove my face full of anything around me because I was so hungry. And then I would get into the cycle of being super exhausted because I just ate like whatever was in front of me. And then I would have to go sleep. And then I'd get back up and I'd feel normal for a few hours. And then I would go through this cycle like multiple times a day. It was like the weirdest thing. I thought maybe I was diabetic, pre-diabetic. I had all this stuff, There was one time I didn't even make it to the couch when I was like, oh, I'm tired. I need to go take a nap like I normally did. And I passed out on my living room floor. And that was when my husband was like, I'm done. I'm taking you to the doctor. And at the time, like even to like today, like, I mean, I don't see a doctor. So like, even back then I was just like, no, like not the doctor. Cause to me, I was like, they're gonna
Bad.
like they're gonna put me on some medication or something, and he's like, I'm done. He's like, I'm done with all of this. Like something's wrong, And I actually recorded that conversation when I went into the doctor's office because it was a big joke. And he literally told me that I was just a mom. All my labs were perfectly fine. I probably just need to have more coffee. And I was like, coffee? Like, that's your solution to me? Like, no. And I was like, I can't even believe this is happening. And I told my husband, I'm like, that's why I don't go to the doctor. But anyways, all of that stuff, and I'm not saying water cured or healed me. I'm definitely not saying that, but all of that stuff started just to go away when I started getting like my cells became hydrated. I read a book called You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty. And it said your body's many cries for water.
Yep.
Again, it's about the fact of not necessarily like the amount of water that you're drinking, but the amount of water that you're absorbing into your body and how important it is to actually make sure that water goes into your body. When I read that book, I was like, holy crap, like this makes so much sense. So, and I had already experienced like all the benefits. I already felt better. So like after, and I didn't read the book till probably like a year and a half after. And I was like, then I started tying it all together. I was like, wow, like this really makes sense of how I started actually feeling better. But there's this one, like probably my favorite story. There's a gal, she actually lives local to me. There's actually three gals that live local to me that have really incredible stories. The more that I say it, I'm like, actually, there's another one. But she came into my life through meeting on social media. It's such a love-hate relationship with like Facebook because it's like I meet so many cool people on Facebook. I would have never met you, Dr. Maria, if it wasn't for Facebook. But then sometimes I'm like, but anyway, she has she's got 3 boys and like they're all injured. She did what she did before she knew better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before she knew better, now she knows, so she would never go back. But all of them had the thing. And anyways, and one of her boys is autistic, nonverbal, doesn't make eye contact, he's just very, very, it's really hard for her. Like he doesn't even look at and talk to his brothers, like, or even look at his brothers. The only people that he would ever make eye contact with is his mother. So anyway, she's like, here's me talk about this water. She's like, I want to try this water. She's like, I've done everything. She's an herbalist. She's changed her complete diet. She's a health coach. So she's done all kinds of through diet and herbs and stuff and supplements that she's given her son. He has made such a huge improvement, but they still had a lot that they were working through. He still couldn't talk. He still couldn't make eye contact. And he just had a lot of meltdowns that she just couldn't really do much with. So 3 weeks into drinking the water, he started making eye contact with his brothers. 3 weeks, like that's not even that much time. 6 weeks into drinking the water, he started actually talking. He actually, now I'm not saying full sentences, but he actually spoke and like, he actually told his mom, I love you. And like, yeah, it's so hard. Cause if you ever hear her tell the story, like you can't even like not cry because it's just like I get teary every time I talk about it, I get teary eyed because, and she's not even necessarily like like I'm a Congan distributor. Like she didn't come into it for that. She came into it because she just wanted the water, and now when she tells her story, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it's so crazy. So anyways, because she's in this world of, she's got injured children, so she's become friends and in the community has also came to know other families that also have injured children. she helped a lady very recently also get access to the water who's local to us. And she was just like, hey, come try it. She's like, it's worked for my son. Maybe it'll help your son, whatever. So I got this text from her and she said, this is another gal that she just got the water. This was like only like a few weeks ago too. And she said, hi, so I picked up our loaner water machine on Friday and we've already seen a huge negative difference in our son not having the water. He is undiagnosed because we don't go to doctors. He's undiagnosed because we don't go to doctors, autistic. He has every single quality of high functioning autism. When we have this water in our home and in his body, it's one of the only few times in his entire life that I've seen him truly calm. And I was
Aw.
like, whoa. And so I said, do you care if I share this?
Mhm.
Like that's amazing. And she said, absolutely. I'm more than happy for you to share. This machine has offered us peace and calm and our little boy, the only things we've ever tried that has done this. And we've done every single holistic approach. So, that was another lady that was local here that just had a really good experience. And it's so interesting because for me, it's like it brought peace and calm for him, which goes to show that for me, I actually had low energy back when I was struggling with a lot of my issues. And when I drink this water, I get energy from it. Like I get like, woo, like I feel good,
Mhm.
Um, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that molecular hydrogen is actually donating electrons to the electron transfer chain within the mitochondria, which is why it's giving us energy. So that's why I feel the difference. But for him, he experienced a sense of calm, like whatever this is doing in his body, in his brain, in his central nervous system, that's needing him to just remain calm. Like it's helping him in a completely different way. So that's why I always say it's like everybody's going to have different reactions to the water. The third lady I will tell you about is her son is also autistic, but he's in his 20s. So he's older, but he lives with her and she's a little bit older. She's taking care of her 28-year-old son, basically. So she came to get the water, not even for him. She came to get the water for her because she's like, I just want to try this water. She filled up a couple gallons at my house. And I was like, I never experienced this before in my life. This was like really, really early on when I started sharing the water. And she called me the very next day and she goes, I need one of these in my home. How do I get it? And I was like, oh, well, I can help you with that. I'm like, well, what happened? Like, tell me. And she said for 28 years of his life that she's been his mother, that he's never, ever had a day where he didn't need to take multiple naps in the day. And she said most often he takes 2 to 3 naps every single day. And she's like, yesterday, he didn't even take a single nap. I was like, what? And I was surprised because I was like, I didn't know it was going to work that fast for him. Like, so everybody's different, and so she got it and he loves it. And to this day, he still, drinks water, loves the water. I actually just saw them a few weeks ago. This was like a couple years ago that this happened, but it was one of the first experiences I had where somebody had a fast reaction to the water. Lots of people I talked to, especially some people who were already, pretty healthy themselves, like they don't necessarily notice like a huge difference, like right away. But then when they stop drinking the water, they start to notice how they are like, oh yeah, I guess I kind of feel like I don't have as much energy, or, some things like that happen where it's like, sometimes it's not this huge thing that they experience, but sometimes it is like this woman whose son was like one day of drinking the water. She's like, he didn't even have to nap. So, and it's just so funny that just so happens to be 3 different people that were autistic. I didn't mean for that to happen, but they're all local and it all just
well, I think that's important. I mean, it's the group of people that we know as well. So, I mean, it is what it is. And frankly, there are going to be more people on the spectrum, whatever level of functioning, probably more now than ever. So, and I do want to bring that up because it is hard, for autistic, the parents. It's hard to have their kids drink water. It's hard to have them eat certain foods. A lot of times they have going to the bathroom issues. So all of this can help. And so I'm glad you brought it up. And
yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that just, it's going to help every single person, but even if it can help, some like having this type of information, it's like, it's worth a try of being able to try something different, because I didn't even know 3.5 years ago or so that water even had properties like molecular hydrogen. I had never even heard that term before. I didn't know water could even be reduced or negatively charged or structured or, mineral rich or non-mineral. Like I didn't know any of this stuff. And so it's like, the more that you get to learn about the water quality and different properties of water, like there really are properties of water that can help your body nourish or become nourished, and like, and help your body I don't want to say heal, but help your body heal, because your body is what's healing, but the water is helping that along in the process. And so if you don't know, then you don't know. So this is why it's like good for you to listen to things like this. And if you know anybody that you can even get your hands on some of this water, it's definitely worth a try for any situation. Like anybody can benefit from having this type of water in their life for sure.
Definitely water, the great facilitator, right? One last thing that I just wanted to bring up, and it doesn't need to be, long, but I think I heard that there were some studies that Kangen was being used in hospitals. Is that true?
Yeah. So actually that's how we became a certified medical device back 49 years ago in Japan. So these systems are created and designed in Japan. And they were used for hospital settings. And then they got approved for in-home use. I guess they were created, I don't know how long ago they were created for hospital use, but yes, they use them in hospitals in Japan. They use them for all kinds of different ailments and issues. But I think some of the most common ones is digestive stuff. And so there is a doctor named Dr. Shinya. He's the co-inventor of the colonoscopy. And he has all of his patients come, and he actually has really cool videos where he goes in with the little scope thing. I don't know what it's called, but it goes in and looks at the colon, and he shows people before they drink Kangen water and then after, and how there's like feces lining the colon. It's stuck to the colon. It's like, this type of stuff that can cause problems later on if it's not completely flushed out. Like we're needing to get all of that stuff out of the system. And he puts them on Kangen water for a period of time. And then he goes back and like does a little scope thing again. And then it's completely clear, like it's gone. And so it's like, those are the types of things, or people that were having some sort of digestive issues, they were using that. They were also using it for, I think it was insulin. There was something to do with diabetic patients that they were using it for. I have tons of studies. So if anyone wants to see studies, I have like a whole bunch of them that are just like saved, but I don't remember like every single one or what they said. But I do remember there were some diabetic related ones. There were some tummy issue ones. And then they were also using the hypochlorous acid, which is a 2.5 solution, if it's created fresh. So that's a huge, big thing. You can't create it, like use it a week later, but if it's created fresh, they were even able to sterilize surgical equipment with it.
That's what I remember. Yeah.
That's
awesome. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. So let's just kind of start wrapping up. You guys don't worry. I'm going to definitely have her information in the description. So for my skeptics, okay, because we all have them, friends, family, my patients, where they do not believe water is important for them to drink, like literally it is not even in their realm. Okay. And I would definitely say it might be an age group. I don't want to put it out there, but I've definitely seen the pattern of a certain age group. My coffee drinkers that drink coffee all day. We know that we're made up of about 70 to 90% of water, depending on the body part. What do you want to just say one little last thing to them?
Well, I mean, I think that like sometimes it's really hard because you might have to go through something yourself to understand what's really, if somebody's like doesn't agree in the fact that water is important, then I challenge you to not drink water. See how long you can go without drinking water, because you can't go very long. And yes, there are some things that you can drink that have water in them that you think that, oh, just because they drink coffee, like you're getting some water. It's like, yeah, but like the more dehydrated that your body becomes, the less that your body actually knows that's what this book is. The book that I was telling you guys about, You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty. It's written by a doctor, a medical doctor.
I'll put it in there. I have the book. I'll take a picture and I'll put it in the description as well. It's a great book. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a great book. Right. And he talks a little bit about that. Like the more dehydrated that you become, the more that your body is actually realizing that that's what's going on with you. And you can become more and more and more dehydrated. And I mean, it can lead to some pretty serious things. Like it doesn't usually, and it's not always going to be like what you think dehydration could be. I mean, it could be, there's all kinds of issues that could be caused by dehydration. And the hydration of your cell is probably one of the most important things that you could possibly do for your body. If you don't believe that, then try going without water and see how you actually start to feel. And then I challenge you to then go with water, go and drink half of your body weight in ounces every single day give it a week. Give it a week to do that. Go without water, see how long you could do it. Just drink your coffee, drink your Coke, drink your whatever, and then try 1 week afterwards, just drinking water and see the difference in how you feel. And like, it'll be night and day. Like you'll sleep better, you'll have more energy, you'll pee better, you'll poop better, you'll like everything in your life will So, I mean, I guess.
No, you said it. You said it. I like it. Become the scientist of your own body. Become the detective of your own body. Try things. I mean, that's really what's it about, is like, you have to have that experience. So, okay, great. I love it. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. How do you want people to get a hold of you? Facebook, Instagram, and what can they call you for certain questions or email you? Because they're going to hear this and go, how can I try this water?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I have people all over the country. Even if you're not in the US, there's people, I have a global team of distributors and most people are super willing to help. You know, if you have your own gallon jug, you just show up at their house, they'll help fill you up. I think the best thing is probably email, which is info@kangenwatercollective.com.
And that's fine. I'll put it in the description.
Okay. And then our website is kangenwatercollective.com. And then my Instagram is Kangen Water Collective, kangen.water.collective. And that's for the water side. If anyone's interested in following along for like the castle or, just off-grid living and homesteading, then my Instagram is Forgotten Ways PMA. And that's like a fun Instagram channel to follow.
Yes, it is super fun. And I thank you so much. I know you'll be back on the show because there's lots to talk about. And so you guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and get a hold of Louise. Thank you so much for being patient with me on getting the shows back out. And I love you all, and stay tuned for the next one coming up. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.
Bye.